먹어도 먹어도 끝이 없는 나라. 감당할 수 있겠니?
Coming up on Arirang News, North Korea says it's scrapping the 2018 military agreement a day after South Korea partially suspended it in response to Pyongyang's military spy satellite launch. The South warns the North that it'll take stern measures to counter any threats, while Seoul's National Intelligence Service sees Pyongyang's spy satellite has been put into orbit with help from Russia. South Korea and the United Kingdom adopted Downing Street Accord, elevating their bilateral relations to a new level. Under the pact, they agreed to bolster military cooperation against North Korea's threats, as well as strengthen ties in the economy, technology, and clean energy. No Gaza captives will be freed before Friday, as the release in exchange for a 4-day truce deal between Israel and Hamas has been delayed for a day. Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We start with the escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula following North Korea's military spy satellite launch. Pyongyang says it's ending the 2018 inter-Korea military agreement a day after Seoul partially suspended the accord in response to the satellite launch. Our foreign affairs correspondent Bae-eun-ji leads us off.
North Korea has said it will immediately restore all military measures that were halted under the Inter-Korean military agreement signed on September 19, 2018, that aimed to reduce tensions along the shared border. The North's defense ministry announced this in a statement on Thursday morning, saying that it will no longer be restrained by the agreement. It also said that it will deploy stronger armed forces and new weapons near the border. The move comes a day after South Korea approved a partial suspension of the Inter-Korean agreement as a response to the regime's recent spy satellite launch. One expert says, in terms of immediate significance, South Korea will now be able to fly helicopters and drones along its side of the border for surveillance purposes. But Seoul's decision could possibly make the country more vulnerable to attacks.
I mean, the tank barriers and the guideposts that were removed in 2018 are going to be a lot harder for South Korea to put back than for North Korea to put back. You know, you'd have demonstrations, peace protests, and so on down here. So this means that South Korea's capital city of Seoul, I think, remains more vulnerable to attack than Pyongyang does.
In fact, just a few hours after the South's partial suspension of the agreement, North Korea launched a ballistic missile Wednesday night toward waters off its east coast. But Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said it believes the launch failed and that intelligence authorities from Seoul and Washington are conducting further analysis. In the meantime, activity has been detected at the regime's nuclear facility. The International Atomic Energy Agency said a strong water outflow from a reactor's cooling system was spotted sometime after mid-October at North Korea's Yongbyon nuclear facility. The agency noted this could mean a possible test run at this facility, which is suspected to be used to produce materials for nuclear weapons. Bae-eun-ji, Arirang News.
Following Pyongyang's announcement, there was a stern warning coming from South Korea's defense chief, vowing to respond strongly until the end if Pyongyang engages in provocative actions. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung reports.
South Korea's defense chief has warned that Seoul will take stern measures to counter any threats posed by North Korea. The warning came during a parliamentary session on Thursday, hours after the North said it would restore all military measures it had halted under the 2018 Inter-Korean military agreement.
If North Korea carries out provocations under the pretext of the suspension, we'll respond immediately, strongly, and to the end.
Shin stressed that North Korea's launch of the so-called military spy satellite once again shows that it has no will to abide by the military pact. The minister also defended South Korea's partial suspension of the agreement, saying that it is a corresponding measure to the regime's threats and the least it could do to protect the lives and safety of its people. Seoul's defense ministry also strongly criticized the North's attempt to shift the blame for the heightened tensions to South Korea.
We once again sternly warn North Korea against misleading comments and pointing the finger at others through its defense ministry's statement.
The ministry said the military will closely monitor North Korea's actions in the future and take countermeasures to protect South Korea's citizens. Concerns are also growing about potential conflicts that could unfold near the border, but the ministry noted that deterrence is achieved through force and emphasized that the military is fully prepared. Amid the escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula, South Korea is anticipated to hold a bilateral naval drill with the U.S. and a trilateral one with the U.S. and Japan this weekend. Choi Min-jang, Arirang News.
In the meantime, South Korea's National Intelligence Service sees North Korea's reconnaissance satellite launched yesterday has reached orbit with help from Russia. Our Lee Si-hoo reports.
South Korea's National Intelligence Service perceives that North Korea has successfully launched what the regime claims is a reconnaissance satellite into orbit. This is according to lawmaker Yoo Sang-bum, the vice chairperson of the Parliament's Intelligence Committee, on Thursday after receiving a briefing from the NIS. Lawmaker Yoo, quoting the NIS, says that Russia may be involved.
The NIS said it perceives that Russia most likely helped with the launch, as Russian President Vladimir Putin revealed his will to support projectile launches during his talks with Kim Jong-un. It's also been confirmed that after the talks, North Korea provided Russia with data on the first and second projectiles and their designs, and Russia provided an analysis of that data.
North Korea launched a military reconnaissance satellite on Tuesday. The regime claimed the spy satellite had taken pictures of U.S. military bases in Guam. But the National Assembly's Intelligence Committee says this has yet to be confirmed based on South Korea's analysis of the obtained satellite from Pyongyang's failed launch in late May.
Considering how it normally takes 3 years to develop new satellites, unless North Korea releases footage of Guam, the circumstances do not show the satellite's capabilities.
The Intelligence Committee's other vice chairperson, lawmaker Yoon Gun-young, said the actual pictures needed to discern the satellite's capabilities.
The specific picture needs to be confirmed to tell whether it's a reconnaissance satellite or whether it lacks the capabilities to be a reconnaissance satellite.
As for a subsequent launch, lawmaker Yoon says it will be difficult.
It will be difficult to launch additional satellites within this year. But the NS did say that they are considering the possibility.
Lawmaker Yoon said that there are no signs of North Korea's 7th nuclear test, including in the village of Punggye-ri, housing the regime's nuclear test site. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
Over in the UK, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak declared the Downing Street Accord, having elevated the two nations' ties to a new level. What took center stage was key military cooperation to counter North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. Our Oh Soo-young reports from London.
South Korea and the United Kingdom will develop cutting-edge military technologies to neutralise North Korea's nuclear and missile threat. President Yoon Suk-yeol and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Wednesday jointly declared the Downing Street Accord, upgrading their bilateral ties to a global strategic partnership. The set of documents lay out key areas of cooperation in security and defence, science and technology, trade and energy, as Britain tilts its strategic interest towards the Indo-Pacific, which accounts for more than 60% of global trade and GDP. The two countries have a shared interest in promoting peace and stability amid geopolitical clashes in the region. As technology blurs the line between national and economic security, spurring a rivalry for supremacy in advanced high-tech areas, Seoul and London will deepen their tech cooperation and work to develop artificial intelligence and quantum technology for military use.
If AI and digital technology are utilised in quantum military technology, quantum sensing and control could thwart enemy missile launch attempts, cause malfunctioning in the propulsion and separation stages, and neutralise the trajectory from hitting the planned target point.
A presidential official told reporters in London that South Korea looks to maximise its own capabilities to deter North Korea's security threat and curb its illegal weapons activities and exchanges with countries like Russia. In doing so, Seoul will accelerate its research and development and build up a network of like-minded countries. On broader security issues, South Korea and the UK agreed to establish a new 2+2 dialogue between foreign and defence ministers and develop closer defence industry cooperation. They will also conduct joint military exercises, share maritime security information, and hold joint maritime patrols to enforce UN Security Council sanctions against North Korea. The two countries forged a strategic cyber partnership, the first such document adopted at the leaders' level for both countries. Seoul says this could lead to closer cooperation with the Five Eyes intelligence sharing network.
With South Korea is considered to be a reliable partner, one of the top partners in Asia and the Indo-Pacific region. So you see the mutual interest, which I think is going to continue to drive this bilateral cooperation between Korea and specific European countries, but also within the context of the EU or NATO.
In the accord, Yoon and Sunak jointly condemned Pyongyang's unlawful nuclear and missile programs and called for an end to its military cooperation with Moscow. They also opposed attempts to subvert international law and freedom of navigation in the East and South China Sea, condemned Russia's aggression towards Ukraine and Hamas's initial terrorist attacks on Israel as unjustifiable, and sought peaceful and humane solutions. As they join hands across all key strategic challenges, marking 140 years of diplomatic relations, South Korea and the UK vow to work together to defend freedom and democracy around the world. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, London.
The Downing Street Accord also aims to ramp up cooperation in the economy, technology, and clean energy between South Korea and the UK, having emerged as being crucial in this new era. Our Kim Do-yeon has more.
Pursuing prosperity, growth, and security in our economies. That's how the Downing Street Accord signed on Wednesday between South Korea and the UK refers to the economic and technological aspects of this new era of bilateral cooperation. There are 26 items included in the second chapter of the accord, with notable achievements being the ROK-UK Framework for Semiconductor Cooperation, the ROK-UK Supply Chains Dialogue, and the ROK-UK Digital Partnership, and a key focus on supply chain protection.
저는 양국이 그야말로 혈맹의 동지이기 때문에 경제 협력이라든지 또는 과학기술 협력에 있어서 우리가 못할 일이 없다라는 생각을 갖고 있습니다.
The ROK-UK Framework for Semiconductor Cooperation is specifically a commitment to the chips industry with, quote, both bilateral activities and cooperation in multilateral fora. The ROK-UK Supply Chains Dialogue, a ministerial-level meeting, will be established by the end of 2023 and will focus on strengthening the supply of parts and equipment for cutting-edge technologies and critical mineral resources, among others. The ROK-UK Digital Partnership will create a forum at the vice ministerial level to discuss telecom supply chain diversification, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. In addition, the accord aims to modernize the free trade agreement to, quote, reflect the importance of emerging trade agendas such as supply chain resilience, digital economy, and energy cooperation. In the meantime, the diplomatic accord acknowledges the importance of the MOU on space cooperation as the two will work together on satellites, tackling space debris and Earth observation technology. The third part of the accord focuses on, quote, delivering a sustainable, secure, and resilient future. Among the 11 items under this third and final part is the ROK-UK Clean Energy Partnership.
A key feature of the achievements in this field is the concentration of efforts to spread carbon-free energy centered around nuclear and offshore wind power.
The two countries are also set to hold regular high-level meetings to discuss progress in achieving net zero by 2050. In the meantime, President Yoon also showed his ambition to build from the Downing Street Accord as he attended a banquet hosted by the Lord Mayor of the City of London, Professor Michael Mainelli, on Wednesday night. The event at Guildhall is a customary event for guests on a state visit to the UK, and there, President Yoon took the opportunity to meet with economic representatives from London. Yoon added that despite it being his last night in London, tomorrow will be a brighter day for Seoul-London ties. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
A South Korean High Court overturned a lower court 2021 ruling today and ordered the Japanese government to compensate the victims of Japan's wartime sexual slavery. The Seoul High Court ordered Japan to pay 200 million Korean won, or about $150,000 to each of the 16 victims. It said Tokyo must pay reasonable compensation as the country's, quote, illegal acts are recognized when mobilizing the so-called comfort women on the Korean peninsula at the time, meaning during World War II. Back in 2021, the Seoul Central District Court dismissed the case, citing sovereign immunity, a concept under customary international law that allows a state to be immune from civil suits in foreign courts. Despite high prices, households in South Korea saw their real income, which is what they earn after accounting for inflation, go up in the third quarter of this year. According to Statistics Korea on Thursday, the average income per household rose to around 5,033,000 won, or roughly $3,800 a month. This is a 3.4% increase compared to the third quarter last year. And after adjusting for inflation, the average real income per household edged up by 0.2%, which is a first year-on-year increase in 5 quarters. The agency attributed this to an overall rise in income from work led by more employment. However, those in the bottom 20% of the income bracket saw a 0.7% drop, a second consecutive quarterly fall on year. In an effort to address global warming, South Korea unveils a plan to reduce methane emissions by more than 30% by the year 2030. During its fifth meeting on Thursday, the Presidential Committee on Carbon Neutrality approved a roadmap that aligns with the global methane pledge. At COP26 in 2021, Seoul joined the global commitment, which aims for at least a 30% cut in methane emissions by 2030 compared to 2020 levels. The measures include producing 500,000 tons of clean methanol by 2030 to fuel ships and raising the supply of low-emitting methane feeds for animals. Also, utilizing cutting-edge digital technologies, the government aims to reach net zero by 2050 by reducing carbon emissions across all industries. South Korea's shipbuilding industry once again topped the sector worldwide in terms of orders last month. And it's looking to maintain its global edge through green technology and digitalization. Our economics correspondent Lee Soo-jin tells us more.
South Korean shipbuilders have been turning to green technology and embarking on a digital transformation. According to shipping analysis firm Clarkson Research, shipbuilders here won 1.54 million compensated gross tons, or 62% of global shipbuilding orders in October, overtaking their biggest competitors, Chinese firms, which secured 33%. This upward trend is expected to continue as the shipping industry moves towards alternative fuels to meet International Maritime Organization standards. The IMO, a UN agency that regulates global shipping, revised its greenhouse gas strategy in July to aim for net zero emissions by around 2050. And it's not just big shipyards that are making headway in developing green technologies. This ship right here, operated by a local port authority, is Asia's first LNG-fueled ship. It uses truck-to-ship bunkering, where LNG is transferred from a truck to a ship, as well as an alternative maritime power system, where ships in port use electricity from the national grid, rather than generating their own using diesel generators. Most of these operations, such as the LNG bunkering, have also been digitalized and can now be managed from a command post on the ship's bridge. There are also smart shipyards such as one in Hanwha Ocean, where robots and virtual reality are used in the building process to increase efficiency and shorten development cycles.
We are working towards incorporating the latest ICT technologies to connect the entire shipyard and establish a smart and secure development system that can be operated autonomously.
It has also established a high-tech lab dedicated to researching ways to prevent sloshing or liquid movement that can damage tanks that contain liquid fuels such as LNG. And accelerating digital transformation will help South Korea stay competitive in shipbuilding, according to an industry expert.
The big three are already doing a considerable amount of their own technological development. This means that by 2030, it's highly likely that we will at least be able to reach the third stage of digitalization.
The third stage of digitalization includes building a ship with an AI platform that will give directions to the crew on how to fix any issues, with the fourth and final stage being completely unmanned ships. 이수진, 아리랑 뉴스.
Shifting gears, the hostage release following the recent Israel-Hamas truce deal has been pushed back until Friday. The two sides seem to be fine-tuning the details. Our Moon Hae-ryun has more.
The planned release of 50 hostages from the Israel-Hamas conflict in exchange for a 4-day pause in fighting and the release of prisoners has been pushed back a day. According to CNN, a senior U.S. official stated that the hostage deal has been delayed until Friday morning in order to iron out the details and to minimize things going wrong. Israel was said to have made this decision together with Qatar and Egypt as mediators. While the current working list of 10 hostages likely to be released from Gaza on the first day only contains information regarding their gender, nationality, and age, U.S. officials have said that they expect the names to be released by Thursday night. Solely women and children, they'll be released in batches of around 10 per day. The first 2 days are to be a testing period to make sure that both sides are keeping to the agreement, and then further hostage negotiations are expected to take place. So far, what's known about the process is that the hostages will be guided by the Red Cross and taken to a designated border point, mostly through Egypt. Earlier, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the Red Cross would be able to visit the remaining hostages in the enclave to give them needed medication. In exchange, Israel has agreed to a temporary 4-day ceasefire in Gaza and free Palestinian prisoners in Israel with the exception of people it said are murderers. With this latest development, world leaders are calling on both parties to hold up their side of the deal and are hopeful that this could be the start of positive developments. The Prime Minister of Qatar shared on his social media his hopes for serious talks for a comprehensive and just peace process. Humanitarian aid from overseas is also expected to pour in during this crucial period. The President of the European Commission said that the EU will do its utmost to provide a humanitarian surge. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
Another tracing of King Gwanggaeto the Great's memorial stone has been found at the library of the Asian Society of the College of France. The inscription was donated 100 years ago, but was only recently discovered by a Korean professor as it was overlooked due to confusion with another tracing of the stone held by the National Library of France. Unlike other tracings, the newly found one has a duplicate of the second side of the stone rather than showing the third side of the stone. King Gwanggaeto the Great ruled the Goguryeo kingdom around 1600 years ago. His memorial stone, which is in northeast China, is the largest in East Asia and has 1,775 characters engraved on its 4 sides.
Much frigid conditions are set to sweep across the nation tomorrow. A drastic drop in the readings will be seen for most inland regions, including here in Seoul. Lows will be plummeting to -4 degrees Celsius, but temperatures will feel close to -7. Other regions such as Daegwallyeong and Gangwon-do province will be much colder. Snows in the forecast for western parts of the country tomorrow. Parts of Chungcheongdo and Jeollado provinces will see 1 to 3 centimeters of snowfall. Gangwon-do province will see around 1 centimeter. With temperatures plummeting significantly down to sub-zero figures, icy roads are possible for the morning. Please drive with extra caution. Northern central regions will see morning temperatures in the minus range. Seoul will be frigid cold at -4 degrees. As for the daily highs, Seoul will get up to 2 degrees, Daejeon 4, Daegu and Gyeongju will be topping out at 6 degrees. Frigid spells will continue to prevail for the remainder of the week. Next Monday, the extreme cold will take a brief respite. That's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all for tonight's newscast. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest newscast. Good night.